Together for me.
Hi, I'm Micah, and I've never spoken in front of anybody before. So, I just want to touch a bit on my past. I'm from Antioch, Nashville, Tennessee. My mom grew up taking us to church, and my dad drank a lot. My childhood wasn't fun. There was a lot of fighting and yelling, and a lot of abuse that went on. I remember being scared all the time growing up. I found basketball as an outlet. And I played and played and played, and that's all I did, was just stay outside and play basketball. A lot of abuse that went on. I remember being scared all the time. I found basketball as an outlet. And I played and played and played, and that's all I did, was just stay outside and play basketball. A lot of abuse that went on. Being scared all the time. Alright, I guess I'll continue. I played in the hobby shop at one time, and that's where I got my piece. And when I went to church with my mom, I got my piece there. We moved to Smyrna when I was in middle school, and I was out there, and I felt out of place because, you know, it was different growing up in Antioch and growing up in Nashville, and then moving out to the suburbs, and so I always felt out of place. I didn't dress the way they dressed. I felt weird. I just felt out of place. So I begged my mom to go back to school at EZO with my sister. And there, it was just a big failure because it was so hard. And I couldn't play ball there because my grades weren't good enough. So I just kind of failed that year. I think the only way I made it through was to go through homeschool. And then I went to high school there. Well, that's where all the dope came in, and I met all my friends. Dope and smoking weed and drinking became my life. And that's what we did. We sold drugs, and we did drugs, and, you know, that's all we did growing up. Well, I dropped out to school, and my dad made me move to Alabama because I was getting in a lot of trouble. And I worked for my dad, working construction, and then I was in the office, and then my sister, she needed to come to work for him, so I went out in the field and I learned to work out in the field. Well, I met people out in the field at the construction site that did drugs, and that's all I did. I took Xanaxes all the time, and then I would go home on the weekends and I would roll and I just saved my stuff. I worked and I saved my stuff, and that's all I did. So, John, I met the father of my kid in high school, and he left and went to Florida when I went to Alabama. He came back, and he kind of saved me from all of that. So I went down to Florida, and I started working a really good job, but we were still hustling, we were still selling drugs, and I had legs down there. Well, we moved back from there because everything had just got bad there. So we moved back up here, and I guess Lexi was about 2 years old. And that's when my opiate addiction started. I started having really bad pains in my stomach, and I would just fall to my knees and call my mom, and she would come running and take me to the hospital. Well, they were just pumping me full of opiates and just giving me all these prescriptions. And before I knew it, I was just addicted to them. And then that just became my whole life. You know, I was selling them, and instead of just selling them, I was doing them. And, you know, so I was hiding from my mom, I was hiding from John, and he had done it, you know, in the past. His thing was really just drinking. So I would hide it from him because he saw what it was doing to me, and so he didn't like it anymore. And I was like, well, you used to do it, so I don't understand why, you know, you want to judge me for doing it. You know, you drink, and my option is take the pills, so that's what I'm going to do. Well, we would try to get it together, and we would lose everything, and we would get everything back, and we would lose it again. And we would run to Florida to try to get away from here, to try to start over, but I would just find a drug dealer down there because I wanted some weed. So I would find somebody that sold weed, and then they would have pills, and I would start doing that and hiding that. And so finally, I was like, I'm just done with this down in here, and I went back to Tennessee. So I got pregnant with Dallas, and And that's been my third kid at that point in time. I had Alexis and Brianna, and I had Dallas. And I was hooked on pain pills really bad when I got pregnant with Dallas, so they put me on Suboxone. And I started taking subs. Well, and then John started taking them too. And then after I had Dallas, he was in the hospital for 3.5 weeks coming off of those. Well, I think John was just real angry at me. When I brought Dallas home from the hospital, he just cussed me like a dog. He was like, "You're just a junkie. Our son's been in the hospital for 3 weeks because of you," and all this and that, and everything started to fall apart. I started going to the doctor, and I was getting Adderall, and I was getting Klonopin, and I was taking Suboxone, and it was just so much, and we were just messed up all the time. Well, that's when I started catching most of my charges. I got a DUI. 3 weeks later, I got another DUI. Then I got out, and half my clothes were gone. This girl next door stole all my clothes, and then so I left John and went to my mom's house, took the kids, and went there. And I continued to just take the pills and just blame him for everything. And he took off to Florida. Well, he was like, "I'm just done. I can't stay here anymore. I can't do this." So he went down to Florida, and that's pretty much where I couldn't maintain anymore. I couldn't live anymore. And it was the day after my 30th birthday, and I got a picture sent to me of him and some girl. This has been the love of my life since I was 16 years old. We had been best friends since I was 14. So I just fell apart. I just fell harder and harder than I ever had fallen before. Well, my big brother, he lost his son. He called me, and he was like, "I just want my baby back. I just want my baby back." And he's gone. So we went and married him, and I will never forget walking into the funeral home and him holding his son's foot. I couldn't cry. I couldn't feel anything. I just felt so much pain. I had been watching my girls cry themselves to sleep every night for months and months, missing their daddy. And I was, it was like he died. Like he was just gone. We didn't hear from him. He was just gone. So I left that funeral home, and I started shooting up. I never thought I would ever stick a needle in my arm. I never thought I would do any of that. But I did. And I just started numbing the pain. Well, I went to jail, and, I did time, and I caught more charges, and I went back to jail. And I got out, and I would try to get it right. And I would go to rehab, and I would try to get it right. And I just couldn't. I just kept falling on my face. And I knew because, I grew up in church that God was the only way. But I couldn't get to that point. Well, finally, I lost the kids. And then I got kicked out of my mom's house. And my best friend Heather went to Right Road. And then my boyfriend at the time, he went to jail. And so I just fell completely apart. I just started shooting up every single day. And for a few months, I was just completely torn apart. And I remember waking up in this broke down trailer with dirt and trash in the front and trash in rooms. And I just fell on my knees. I was like, "God, please, I can't go home. I can't be with my children. I've lost my family. I've lost everything. And I just don't know what else to do." And I heard say, "Call Heather." So I called her, and she was like, "Are you ready to come?" And I was like, "Yeah." She said, "Text Miss Renee." And so I texted her, and she said I could come meet her tomorrow. So I was like really nervous about it. Well, she came pick me up, and I went there, and for the first month or so, I was just kind of in a daze, coming off all these drugs that I had just been numbing myself with. I kept going to class and hearing them talk, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew that leaving meant I was going to go back, and I was probably going to die. So I just knew I just needed to stay here and just keep pushing through to it. Well, I don't think I really changed until a month ago. I got up on Sunday morning, and I seen on Facebook that one of my very best friends since I was 12 died. And I just fell apart. I fell apart. And I knew there was two roads I could take. I could just leave and just go get messed up and just drink and shoot my pain away, or I could do all this stuff that I've been hearing, from Terry, from Miss Renee, from Steve, that, just dig into the Bible and just pray. So I did. That's what I did. I prayed and I got into my Bible, and I've been doing it every day for the past month. And last week I was here and I heard the song Amazing Grace. And I always loved that song, but I never understood the words until then. And I looked it up. It says, Amazing Grace, God's grace. This word speaks of deliverance from enemies, affliction, or adversity. It also denotes enablement, daily guidance, forgiveness, and preservation. God's grace means moving heaven and earth to save sinners who could not lift a finger to save themselves. And then I wrote down this Bible verse. The righteousness is given through faith in Jesus Christ to all who believe. There's no difference between Jew and Gentile, for all have sinned, and all fall short of the glory of God, and all are justified freely by His grace through the redemption that came by Jesus Christ. Romans 3:22-24. I guess, when I got here, I was cold, I was mean, I was rebellious, I was lost, I was dead inside. And today I'm alive, I'm okay, and I've got a relationship with God, and I have a relationship with my kids, and I can go to the house and I can visit them and I can watch them now. It's just, if you give your life and you just give it all up and just put it all down and just give it to God, that you can make it, and you can go from being a jumped out drug addict with nothing to having everything restored back in your life. Amen. I guess that's all I have to say.